affairs of the U.S. Embassy in Jakarta. The long-awaited month of Ramadan has arrived.
Let us welcome this holy month with gratitude and joy.
May this month bring you peace, joy, and good health.
On behalf of all of us at the U.S. Mission to Indonesia, I want to wish you and your families a happy and healthy Ramadan.
Selamat menunaikan ibadah puasa.
Selamat berpuasa.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to At America. We are the U.S. Embassy's American Center, the place to learn more about American culture. My name is Aldi Rashid. I am one of the e-guides here at America, and I will be your MC for today's event. And you are watching Travel U.S.A. Experiencing the U.S.A. from a Muslim perspective. Boleh minta tepuk tangannya yang paling meriah? Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, and Sobat America watching at home, before we kickstart our event, I have a little quiz for our online audience. And the question is it true or false that your passport must have a minimum of 12 months of validity left in order to apply for a U.S. visa? Those of you who know the answer and getting the correct answer will receive a special shout out at the end of the event. And now, let me introduce our special moderator for today. She is the commercial specialist at U.S. Embassy Jakarta. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Fidiza Purisma.
Hello, good afternoon everyone. Semangat sedikit, masih puasa ya jadi ya. Good afternoon everyone. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and welcome to At America. Today we will have a fun discussion on Muslim living and traveling to the United States, and also we'll talk about U.S. visa. My name is Fidiza Purisma and I'll be your moderator for today. We have three fantastic speakers. They will share their experience, share their cool traveling tips, and also sharing about what to prepare to apply for a U.S. visa. First, we have Pak Evan Robbins, our visa consul of U.S. Embassy. Please give him applause. And then the second one, we have Mbak Ratna Sari Dewi, the public affairs specialist for U.S. Mission for ASEAN. And last but not least, Mbak Neneng Hasanah, investigator in Regional Security Office of U.S. Embassy. Have a seat, please. So we will just start the presentation with the first speaker. I think Pak Evan already agreed to start the day. So the floor is yours.
Right. Thank you very much and appreciate the opportunity to come. And saya bisa berbicara bahasa Indonesia, tetapi hari ini, for this presentation, we're going to do English. If you have any questions, please interrupt. I think my colleagues are fine if I lay the groundwork for you. If you have a question, you don't have to wait till the end. If we need to explain something at the moment, just raise your hand and we will be happy to answer questions as we go. So before you can enjoy your time in the United States, you have to get there. And so my opportunity is to explain to you a little bit how you do that. And I know there's going to be a lot of questions for this process. So feel free again to ask. If you have a specific question, we may not be able to answer that. You know, if you had your own specific case. But general questions, we'd be happy to cover. I'll tell you a little bit just real quick about myself. This is my second tour with the State Department. I was a vice consul in the Dominican Republic before I came here. And I had to learn Spanish for that because all I had was English before I joined the State Department. But I was a police officer and a prosecutor for over 20 years in the United States and lived in several different places, including the Republic of Palau, which is an island out in the Pacific. And when I leave here this summer, I'm going to another island in the Pacific. I'll live in Fiji for the next 3 years after this. So we can tell you all about those different experiences if there's time. So U.S. Visas 101, what are we going to do? You want to go to the U.S. Good news, as you can see here, we're issuing more visas than ever before. Last year, we set a record for the most visas ever in Indonesia. We broke 100,000 visas for the first time. So there is no shortage of opportunities. There's no shortage of appointments. If you want to come in, please, we have people coming from other countries to interview here because you're able to do it so easily and so quickly. We have that short wait time. And the process is even easier than ever. Once you have a visa, if you've already traveled maybe with your family before, there's interview waiver, so you don't even have to interview sometimes to get a renewed visa. So don't hesitate. Don't think, oh, but at the same time, don't wait till the last minute. Because if there's a problem and you need to find some document or something, you don't want to be missing your flight because you didn't get your visa in time. So if you know you want to go, come in as soon as you can. So here's just an example of some of the wait times around the world and why people come here. So you can look, if you're in Chennai, 479 days that you have to wait, get an appointment to come in and get a tourist visa. So if you want to go next year, you can apply for an interview. So you can see we're down just a couple of weeks. A lot of other places are down to a month, some are 2 or 3 months. So it varies quite a bit around the world just by the number of people that want to get a visa. This is what your visa looks like. This kind of explains the visa. It goes into your passport. It's a sticker kind of stamp thing that goes in there. You can't try to remove it. If you try to tear it or pull it out, it's going to make it invalid and you can't use it anymore. So once it's put in there, it's got to stay there. And there'll be some details in there about when it expires. You can get a visa for 5 years. So whenever you go to get a visa for travel this summer, if you want to go again next summer, you don't have to go get a new one. It's good for 5 years. This is the website. Whenever you want to start the process, you'll go to the U.S. Embassy, consulates in Indonesia, and the non-immigrant visa. So this is where you can decide what kind of visa do I need. Am I going to go as a student? Am I going on an exchange program? Am I going just as a tourist? All kinds of different categories. So you can find that here on the website. Here's a list of just the more common ones that we have. Nothing else to add. Just if you want to do a different type, there's lots of different ways you can go there. One thing that we will try to help you do is if you come in and let's say you wanted a student visa. If you're missing some documents required for that visa, then we can help guide you, say, oh, you need to go get this form or you need to get that form. We don't automatically reject your application and say, oh, too bad. We give you a chance to go and collect those documents if you need to. But we hope that you have them ready when you come. So here's the basic steps. You complete the online non-immigrant visa application, pay the fee online, you schedule your appointment, and then you come to your interview. Very simple process. The only thing, if you're doing a student visa, you'll have to pay another fee at your interview once you get approved. It's called a reciprocity fee, and it's a sedikit mahal. But you can pay that fee at the day of your interview. So what do you bring to your interview? You'll have your appointment letter, your confirmation page saying that you've applied, you did that online application process, you did it correctly. You'll bring that. Your photograph that's going to go in your visa. And your photograph has to be taken within the last 6 months. So if you bring us a photograph that you used for your passport a year ago, and we look at it and say, oh, that's the same photo they used to get their passport, that's too old, we can't use it, you have to go get a new photograph. So your photo has to be taken within the last 6 months. Then all of your current or old passports that you may have, and all of your supporting documents. So if you're a student, you need to bring certain forms. If you're going for work, you need to bring certain forms. And you bring all of that with you to the interview. And so here's what you wanted to know. What are the tips? How do you have a successful interview? How long do you think the interview is? How much time do you think you have for your non-immigrant visa interview? You want a tourist visa or a student visa? 5 minutes? Any other guesses? less than 5 minutes for most. Most visa application and interview is 2 minutes or less. That's the number that they strive for. And so whenever I do interviews, I'll maybe ask 3 questions. That's it. So you only have a short amount of time to convince me that this is the visa you want, this is the correct visa that you need, and that you're going to the United States for the right reasons. That's hard to do in 2 minutes. So the key is to make sure that your first impression is a positive one. Come in prepared. Come in awake, alert, ready to go. It's tedious, I know. It's hard to stand in line, to go through fingerprinting and getting through security and then finally getting to your interview. But put on your best face, best foot forward. Make sure that everything in your application is correct. And this is one of the things that trips people up the most. Your electronic application is what we read while you're coming up to the window and while we're talking to you. And so if the information in that electronic document is not complete or it's different than what you're telling me when I ask you a question about it, that's going to be a problem for you. So you want to make sure all of the information there is complete. For example, it'll ask, have you ever been to the United States before? Have you ever been issued a visa before? You'd be surprised how many people have had visas, have been to the United States, but they put no. And so then we say, well, why didn't you tell us about that? And it could be a problem. So make sure everything is complete. Next one, be honest. If you've never traveled before, don't say you've been to other countries before. If you've been to the United States before, tell us you've been to the United States. I think the one most common probably is, do you have family or friends in the United States? Almost always you're going to get asked that question. Do you have any family or friends in the United States? And everybody worries, oh, if I say I have family in the United States, they think I'm going to stay there. And so I'm going to say, no, I don't have any family in the United States. Not knowing that we can see your family's applications. And we might have screened your application before you ever got there, seeing if you have family. So then we say, well, why are you lying about your family being in the United States? Because it doesn't disqualify you. There's no problem having family or friends in the United States. That's not going to be a problem. Just be honest about it. So you can tell us, oh, no, my uncle lives there, or my cousin lives there. When did they go there? Oh, 20 years ago. So be honest. Next part is answer the question. I'm only going to ask 2 or 3 questions, so answer those questions. Don't tell me other stuff. Don't tell me a big story about something else. Answer the question, because that's what I need to know. Next one, know where you're going and why. So if you want to go on vacation, where do you want to go on vacation? Why did you choose that place for your vacation? Who are you going with when you go there? If you don't know those answers, then it makes me think, oh, you don't really want to go. You're just trying to get a visa to go get a job. So know where you're going, why you're going there. Next one, be honest. If you have other things, if you have family you're going to go visit and you're going to go to another place and do something else while you're there, fine. Just tell us. Be upfront with it. Because your credibility, if you're coming across to us and appearing like you're honest, you're not trying to hide something, you're answering the questions we ask, then it makes us feel good about issuing you a visa. Because we think you're telling us everything and you look like this is the right kind of visa. Finally, relax. It's just a visa. Not the end of the world. You can always come back again for most times, most excuses, most refusals. We have people coming back multiple times before they get a visa. Because maybe one day you're just having a bad day and you just didn't have the right information, so you want to try again in a couple of weeks or a couple of months. It's okay. Just relax. If you have any questions, you can email us. You can look at the website. And that's really all that I have for you. I know you're going to have a lot of questions. And we'll save them for the end, but just make sure you're going for the right reason and you're getting the right visa for the reason you're traveling. That's the big takeaway. All right.
Okay, thank you, Pak Evans. Give Pak Evans a round of applause. So for the next speaker, we will have Mbak Ratna Sari Dewi. She's a Fulbright alum, graduated from Clinton School of Public Service in Little Rock, Arkansas, and she lived in the US from 2009 to 2012. Please give Mbak Dewi a round of applause, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Maicha. Okay, so before starting, who's fasting today? Okay, so I need you to help me to keep up the energy level. So before start, can I have a round of applause once more? Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me to share about my US experience. So my experience will be a little bit different because I live in the US for 3 years, not just visiting as a tourist, but I was a student. But it's already a while ago, so I hope that what I share will be still relevant. Yeah. So if you are on social, I go by Dewi Grinjo on my IG and Facebook just because I was the radio announcer. So I had my own name. So I would like to say good evening, not good evening, see, I'm fasting, so I need you to keep my energy level up. Yeah, good afternoon, people who's online watching me. It's me again. I hope you're not bored to see me. Next slide, please. Oh, it's me, right? Okay. So this is a disclaimer because I work with the public affairs at U.S. Mission to ASEAN. I work with a U.S. government. So sometimes maybe people see that I'm part of the government in some roles. But today, the role is about me. So this what I say and what you view later on, that's not part of the U.S. government or State Department. I just need to say this. So this is my disclaimer. Okay. So this is me in my element. I love public speaking. I love speaking in public, and this was me at school. So as part of the member of the school invited a lot of speakers, and the students can pick the speaker that they would like to introduce to. So this is me standing up in front of some audience like this, but I was younger at the time. This is some of the states that I live in, as you see here. Okay, the pointer is a bit small, so please bear with me. So I placed in Arkansas, where my school was, Clinton School of Public Service. And then I traveled a little bit should be here, California. I haven't been to Arizona. So I visited San Francisco for a few days. I think San Francisco is very beautiful. And then I also lived in San Antonio for 2 months, where I met with, yay! Everyone has a very close connection with the city. Yeah, San Antonio, this is the city where many of the Mexican Americans live there, so it's a bit different ambience. And then I also I live in last part of my year in the U.S. I live in Washington D.C. So here's location. So I've been in some places in the U.S. And this is my classmates. We were a group of 36 students. If you count, there's 36 people, including me. And I was the international student, one of the 6. And then you know what? The special about my friends were all of them, 30 of them came from the U.S., meaning that some of them haven't traveled around the world. And at that time, I could be the first Muslim they met. I could be the first Indonesian they met and they make friends with. So I thought at that time, oh, I was ambassador as well to Indonesia and to Muslim. Part of the presidential school, so of course I met with President Clinton 5 times. And then you know what? This is my first encounter with him. He was so personable, and you know what? Some people from Arkansas say, if you already met Bill Clinton once, meaning you're part of FOB. What's that? Friends of Bill. So I'm friends of Bill now, yeah.
I'm jealous.
Right? And this is me asking question. This is my second time of having a class with him. And let me share with you my embarrassing moment with him. Embarrassing moment, not just proudest. This is so embarrassing. So this is my second time, but first time we were in the different room, 2009. This was 2010. And then he stood up like that and sharing stories about him being traveling around the world to Bosnia, to just around the world, and including to Aceh in Indonesia. I mean, west part of Indonesia. And then I'm married to an Acehese. He was a survivor of the tsunami, and he told the story about him being in the tent for a night with the refugees. So I just like suddenly cried because like I was alone. My husband hasn't come to the U.S. I was by myself, and I remembered the story. I mean, I was there for 3 years in Aceh, and then I cried, and I felt like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing in front of President of the United States, and then I cried seriously. But when we finished the class, we chit chat with some of the groups, and then you know what? He held my hands like this. So he said, of course, he didn't know my name, and he won't remember me today. But he said at the time that, I'm so sorry. I made you cry. I didn't mean to. And I thought, oh my God, what should I react to the president of the US say that with holding my hand? Should I like just like shaking, or should I like cry more, or what? But then I said, oh, Mr. President, very kind of you, thank you. Yeah, I just remember the story about Aceh. I'm married to Acehese, and then I shared a little bit of my biography with him. Of course, he won't remember, but that's just a very immersive moment of mine. And then I met with Madame Albright. Madame Albright, she was the Secretary of State. I think like, I'm not sure if she was the first woman. I don't think she was the first, but I met her. So she loved pin. So I brought like a pin from Aceh, and I give it to her. See, this is one of my proudest moments, introducing about Indonesia. And this is with Ambassador Jalal. When I was at school, I invited him to come to my school to speak about Indonesia, about Muslim community in Indonesia, about our religious tolerance, about our democracy. So in Arkansas, you can imagine that we were in the middle of the U.S., sort of. Not many Arkansas met with the Indonesians. So that's why inviting him for me was a very close moment, since I could share a little bit about Indonesia to Arkansans. And then this is also iftar. So if you want to pursue your master degree or PhD to the US, you no need to worry, just because many friends, they were not Muslim, but they're so kind to me. He was my best friend, and he said, can I join you fasting tomorrow? Oh yeah, sure. For how many days? You want like 1, 2, 3, or like the whole 30? And he said, let me try first, like 1 day, and then if I succeed, maybe I try more. And he quit after the first day. So yeah, but this is iftar. They would like to experience how iftar was, and then she was my friend from Pakistan. Yeah, so we share a little bit about our Muslim experience, iftar. And this is one is very proud moment of mine, because I met one of the Holocaust survivor. She survived Holocaust back in 1945, and then she's a Jewish. So I met with a lot of Jewish community when I was in the U.S., and I talked with them. In fact, my last year in the U.S., my roommate was a Jew. So yeah, the religious tolerance in the U.S. Is pretty good. And then this is me sharing Indonesia with, there are immigrants from Mexico. They just arrived few months ago, and then at the time, they never heard about Indonesia. And my friend, she was a Christian, and then we went to the church. So this happened in the church. So I do a lot of religious tolerant activities as well while I was in the U.S. Just because I think Americans, they should learn Islam not just from the Middle East, but also from Indonesia. We're the largest Muslim country, and we're not a Muslim country by state. Halloween, and this is international students, my classmates, and then this is my friend visiting Indonesia, and this is my son. He didn't want to be in the picture, so he did that. Yeah, he was small, but now he's 11. He hasn't been to the U.S., and he would like me to bring him with me, but not yet. This is them celebrating my birthday. I turned 30 at a time, and they were so kind to throw me like like surprise party. Graduation. Okay, sorry for the very bad pic, but this was in San Antonio, my host mom, and this is my host mom in Arkansas. So they were special to me just because they introduced me to American stories that not really what I saw on TV. Because when we were, I mean, we were in Indonesia. I've been, at that time, I haven't been to the U.S. And my understanding about America was from television, for sure, from movies. I thought that, oh, all the cities in the United States have like, you know what, good public transportation. And then voila, I was in Little Rock without any good public transportation. So I felt like, oh my God. So this is so good that I travel myself to the US so I can experience different, different stories. So if I was asked about my Muslim experience in the US, so now Indonesia has our own mosque in Washington D.C. area. So if you go to D.C. or Maryland or Virginia, it's nice to go to the mosque and see. I haven't been there myself since because when I was home, the mosque hasn't been built yet, but now it's there in D.C. area. So this is me with my husband Saiful. We were at a school. This is Idul Fitr. So we celebrated Lebaran in a school together with Indonesian communities and other Muslim communities. But now, if you go to any cities in the US and if you use your smartphones, I think it's easy to find mosques other than before. Because now they have like a lot of Muslim community center, not necessarily mosques, but the center that you can go. And in fact, one of the proudest moments also living in Washington, D.C. was that there's a synagogue in Georgetown area that during Ramadan, it was turned into a mosque. So at night, you will see a lot of Muslims went there to pray, while in the afternoon, Jewish people go there to pray. So it's just a very good, religious tolerance that I witnessed while I was in the U.S. And then I returned in 2012, pregnant. And I was super healthy because in the US I walk a lot. And I did also consume healthy food, like kosher food, halal food. There's some also stores in the US. And then this is me coming back to the US last year. And New York, for instance, there's a lot of, food stall, halal, just around the neighborhood. And then in DC as well. It's not as difficult as before. I won't say that, it's not difficult at that time. Finding halal food, of course, it was hard. And you know what? I was a vegetarian most of the time if I couldn't find halal food. But then if I found halal meat, I then eat so much meat, It's just a revenge that I haven't really eaten any chicken, and then I found chicken and I ate it. But now I think it's everywhere, and then if you use your smartphone, it's very, very easy to find halal restaurants and halal stores, not just like before. Because when I was living in Arkansas, I remember I should access to a particular website that compile all the halal restaurants, but now it's just everywhere, very easy. So I think if you travel to the US for studying or for just tourism, you don't have to worry just because, just so easy, just like Sunday morning, super easy. Thank you, Maicha.
Thank you, Dewi. So next we will hear from Mbak Neneng. As investigator, Mbak Neneng has some interesting experience, like working for VVIP, like President Obama and Michelle Obama. And then the last one, she works with Vice President Kamala Harris. Let's hear from her about her travel to the US because her work asked her to travel a lot to the US.
Thank you, Mbak. Thank you, Dewi. Your story is very inspiring. Thank you. So, kayaknya semuanya jadi pengen seperti Mbak Dewi ya. Banyak travel, banyak pengalaman. So, different with Mbak Dewi, my experience in the US was when I was joined the embassy in 2006. First day I joined the embassy, my boss told me, oh, we already register you for training in Virginia in the US. So I was so surprised because it will be my first time traveling to foreign country. I never been to anywhere in the other country before, and I only have passport, but it's still blank. So ketika bos saya ngomong kita udah daftarin ke Amerika, saya langsung percaya nggak percaya gitu ya. Karena kan bekerja di kedutaan Amerika itu suatu privilege juga ya, harus saya akui kalau ikut bangga gitu menjadi bagian dari U.S. Embassy. Saya pergi ke sana 2006, kita di training center diplomatic security di Virginia. Setelah itu kita rutin dikirim training ke sana. Pengalaman pertama waktu itu saya belum pakai hijab, jadi masih biasa dan tidak terlalu mementingkan mencari musola atau makanan halal gitu ya, tidak terlalu dipentingkan. Tapi ketika saya mulai berhijab dan sudah berkeluarga, saya mulai melakukan lebih siap sebagai seorang muslim, melakukan persiapan untuk pergi ke Amerika. Pertama, biasanya kita siapkan informasi mengenai jam sholat di sana gitu ya. Biasanya musim panas itu lebih lama waktunya, seperti misalnya di sini maghrib jam 6 sore, di sana mungkin jam 9 malam gitu ya. Jadi kenapa kita harus tahu jam-jam sholat? Karena kalau kita pergi jalan-jalan, kita sudah siap, misalnya sholatnya harus di kodo atau di jama gitu ya. Terus yang kedua, kita cari lingkungan atau hotel di lingkungan yang ada masjid terdekat, the nearest mosque. We have to find at least one nearest mosque, one restaurant who sell halal food, atau supermarket. Itu biasanya. Dan enaknya yang membuat kita nyaman ketika kita pergi ke Amerika adalah beberapa hotel yang disiapkan sama kita itu biasanya bentuknya semi apartemen, jadi kita bisa masak gitu ya. Jadi kita bisa ke supermarket untuk menyiapkan bahan-bahan makanan sendiri. Ini terakhir kami pergi ke Amerika bulan Juli lalu. Kebetulan musim panas, dan biasanya setelah training kita diberikan waktu untuk travel sendiri gitu ya, untuk personal travel. Biasanya extend kita tidak seperti Dewi, mungkin saya travel ke Amerika itu nggak sampai sebulan lebih gitu ya, paling lama 3 minggu gitu. Dan saya belum pernah tinggal lama di Amerika. Nah, kita gunakan kesempatan itu untuk mengunjungi beberapa kota terdekat. Misalnya kalau Washington DC, dekat Maryland, Virginia gitu ya. Paling jauh misalnya dari San Francisco terbang ke DC itu bisa 5 jam perjalanan naik pesawat gitu. Nah, terus terakhir di New York, mungkin kita harusnya nggak ketemu ya, Wi ya?
Nggak ketemu sayangnya.
Bulan Juli tuh pas musim panas, dan kebetulan itu baru pertama kali saya pergi pada saat musim panas bulan Juli, karena biasanya kita pergi bulan Mei atau Juni yang cuacanya cuacanya lebih adem ya, lebih sejuk gitu. Nah, mungkin yang tadi seperti yang Dewi bilang, sekarang lebih banyak di New York itu stand ini ya, halal food ya. Jadi bentuknya seperti ini. Biasanya ada tulisannya halal atau tulisan Latin atau tulisan Arab halal gitu ya. Karena kebanyakan makanannya adalah dari halal itu kebanyakan dari Arab, jadi taste-nya Arab, kayak kebab atau nasi biryani, nasi mandi atau kayak gitu. Jadi jangan harapkan ada makanan yang sesuai dengan lidah kita gitu ya, kita yang harus menyesuaikan. Terus apalagi yang harus kita siapkan? Oh, Google Map. Biasanya kan roaming, ada kuota roaming ya. Kita sebelum berangkat ke Amerika kita siapkan dulu supaya kalau kita mau pergi ke suatu tempat itu lebih mudah gitu ya. Lebih mudah untuk kita ini. Waktu yang terakhir itu kita tinggal stay di Arlington, itu ada masjid terdekat sekitar 3 km dari tempat kita nginap gitu. Terus kita tinggal cari. Nah, itu ada caranya untuk ke sana. Misalnya naik bis nomor sekian, nanti jalan kaki belok kiri, belok kanan, itu sudah diarahkan di situ. di Arlington itu ada Islamic Center Bangladesh jadi Bangladesh Islamic Center di situ kita sholat Jumat karena saya ngajak suami saya jadi beliau sholat Jumat dan komunitas itu beragam ya karena jangan bayangkan kita di sini bersyukur mayoritas gitu ya jadi di sini masjid gampang di mana-mana dan besar-besar. Nah di sana tuh kalau masjid bentuknya adalah seperti rumah biasa gitu, ada di perumahan tapi sederhana, tidak besar seperti atau musolah, mungkin lebih besar musolah di sini daripada masjid di sana gitu ya. Ada beberapa tempat. Ini bentuk makanannya seperti ini rata-rata dan makanan di Amerika itu rasanya jangan dibandingkan dengan lidah kita ya, tetap kita harus menyesuaikan gitu. Enak tapi enak yang berbeda dengan lidah kita gitu. Dan rata-rata harga makanan di sana sangat mahal. Kalau segini seporsi mungkin sekitar $20. Kalau $20 berarti sekitar 300.000. Tapi dia ukurannya besar, jadi kita bisa share 2 atau 3 orang. Atau kalau saya pergi sendiri, biasanya kita siapkan bagi 3 gitu ya, yang 1 dimakan, yang 2 kita masukin kulkas, nanti pulang training untuk makan malam, seperti itu. Pengalaman-pengalaman yang saya dapatkan selama saya traveling, dulu sebelum berhijab, sekarang sudah berhijab, kayaknya nggak pernah ada perbedaan gitu ya, tidak seumur saya 2006 sampai sekarang, terakhir kemarin 2023, belum pernah mendapatkan perilaku atau perlakuan yang tidak mengenakan gitu ya pada saat masuk atau pada saat kita departur. Tapi asalkan kita tadi seperti disebutkan gitu ya, kita jujur. Pada saat kita masuk kita ditanya imigrasi, bawa apa, makanan apa. Biasanya orang-orang bawa rendang gak di-declare gitu ya. Kita bawalah barang-barang atau makanan atau apapun yang dibolehkan. Kuncinya itu aja, jangan berusaha untuk menyembunyikan sesuatu gitu ya, bawa rendang atau bawa hal-hal yang biasanya produk-produk hewan atau barang-barang yang bisa membawa hama atau penyakit itu tidak dibolehkan. Misalnya bawa buah-buahan atau bawa bibit gitu ya. Nah, pernah satu kali saya bawa abon karena ada pesanan teman saya ke sana. Terus karena saya jujur, saya pada saat check-in itu kasih tahu bahwa saya bawa produk daging gitu ya. Terus begitu check-in itu biasanya udah ada tandanya, tanda silang gitu. Jadi langsung dicek di bea cukai. Nah, di situ biasanya diambil. Tapi ada juga kesempatan, ada beberapa kesempatan teman saya misalnya lebih beruntung itu dia declare tapi nggak masalah. Kayak gitu. Jadi pada saat saya check-in misalnya di bea cukai atau di imigrasi ditanya bawa apa. Biasanya orang Indonesia itu kalau travel apa? Mie instan. Tuh ya. Bawa Indomie. Padahal di sana ada, tapi nggak tahu kayaknya rasanya beda ya.
Beda, mecinnya beda.
Mecinnya lebih sedikit kayaknya ya. Terus bawa apa misalnya yang merokok boleh ternyata bawa rokok asalkan sesuai dengan kebutuhannya gitu ya. Misalnya satu orang berapa kali ngerokoknya bawa 1 slop mungkin masih dibolehkan gitu. Hal-hal yang lainnya saya merasa bahwa ramah gitu ya ininya, tidak pernah mengalami hal-hal yang tidak mengenakan di saya. Sebaliknya malah ketika saya travel di negara-negara kayak Qatar gitu ya, tuh judes banget ininya, imigrasinya, petugasnya gitu ya. Kita cap paspor atau mereka ngomong bahasa Inggris tapi kan kadang-kadang karena aksennya atau dialeknya kita agak susah ngerti gitu ya. Fingerprint gitu, galak banget gitu, dan mereka nggak pernah ada yang senyum. Itu yang saya. Sebaliknya ketika saya, ini pengalaman ya, bukan karena saya bekerja di sini, tapi pengalaman saya, mereka dengan ramah menyambut kita dan mempermudah, berusaha untuk mempermudah akses kita untuk masuk gitu. itu aja kayaknya cukup ya.
Cukup? Okay. Thank you, Mbak Neneng. So, okay, I'm going to go back to Pak Evans. This is, well, Indonesian love to travel. These students are from the tourism, right? So you love travel, I'm assuming. So there's a rumors outside that when you have an Islamic name, it will be difficult to get a U.S. visa. Is that true?
Short answer, no. That's one thing, when I talk about being honest, don't try to hide that, because you might think, oh, if I'm Muslim, they're going to not give me a visa because they're going to be worried why I'm going to the United States. Religion does not play a factor ever that I know of in our adjudications. So it can be whatever religion. That's not really a factor for us. There's no question on your application about it. So you don't have to divulge that information usually. And so, yeah, feel free to exercise your religion, come presenting in compliance with your religious beliefs, and that is not going to be held against you in any way.
Thank you for the info, Pak. And Mbak Dewi, when you live there, you have a lot of events. You said that religious events and also going to the church. Like, do you have the apa sih beban tuh Bapak? Burden in doing the other religious activities there?
Yeah, so this is maybe my personal opinion, and for sure it's just me being me. So living in Indonesia here, I already love making friends, of course, with everyone. But then in the U.S., since there's synagogues, there's a Jewish religion, there's other religion that are not here in Indonesia. So just like curious to know. So I just end up sometimes in a church. I come to churches with my friends first, and then they said like, have you been to a church, and would you like to go to my church? And I being alone in the U.S., I was without my husband for a year and a half. So I said, I should know about America. I need to know about how Americans live, not just from television. So I always say yes. You know what? My classmates say, just ask Dewi for everything. Just invite her for anything. She will say yes. So I was a yes. I was a yes girl type. Like, Dewi, would you like to go to a bar? Yes. Would you like to go to a church? Yes. Would you like to go to synagogue? Yes. And then nobody asked me for a date because they know I was married. Yeah, but I mean, like, the story was that because I was already in the U.S., so I need to know. So they brought me, my yes attitude brought me to a lot of places that I've never been. For instance, my friends, they went to a bar every Tuesday night just to play trivia. And I said, what's trivia? And then I joined them playing trivia. It's like teka-teki, tebak-tebakan. You sit in a bar together with your friends, and then they will ask you like, who's the first president of the U.S.? George Washington, easy. What is the name of Bill Clinton's dog? And then nobody answered. And then, what's the biggest city in the world? And then like, Tokyo, whatever. And then, oh, so they're not just being drunk. I mean, going to a bar for like drinking, they do that too. But sometimes they do other activities like trivia, and then, So I felt like, oh, this is something that I don't know. And going to a bar doesn't mean that I drink. I just like drink, soda or water or like orange juice. They sell that. So no need to, like Evan said, no need to really worry just because, I mean, they're really open to new culture. And I think I should be open as well. And I think by this, I need to like share maybe a little bit experience, not being in religious event, but this is like on the street. So living in the US for me, I need to be ready for surprises. What happened was, I think I told Evan already, so I hope you're not bored. Yeah, so there's a story. It was summer in DC. I stood up in the street, and then I saw two women. They stare at me like, I said, oh, they must be want to ask me something. And then I already like, oh, should I cross the street? And then I didn't. They crossed the street. And then when they like close to me, maybe like this, and they say, hey, ma'am, I have a question for you. Oh my God, question. I'm so scared. What kind of question they will ask? And then, you know what? They touched my scarf here. Not here, but here. And I said, oh my God, she's not feeling hot just because this is so thin. And I said, that's not even a question. And they asked like, where are you from? Why you dressed that way? Because I was in the blue shirt and then pink hijab. I was so colorful. I love wearing colorful scarf. And then I said, well, I'm from Indonesia. That's a Muslim country by population at large, but we're not Muslim country, and this is how we dress. Some of the Muslims dress this way. And even if you come to my country, you will see a lot of stylish women in their hijab, like, because at the time I remember it's the trend of wearing hijab to have like different type to wear it. I even myself, I don't know how to wear hijab that way, but some people were so stylish back here. And then conversation happened. I think at the time the takeaway, their takeaway was, oh, so there's another Muslim country, not Middle Eastern countries, but also Muslim countries called Indonesia, where people can dress very colorful, just different from the Muslim friends from the Middle East. Sometimes they wear like black and then, you know, long gamis. And here we wear like a different way to, I mean, by Disa wear trousers, me as well. And then, so, you know, for me, that kind of experience, I didn't expect. And then I think the key was just to be myself. Like, I'm bubbly, I'm like friendly and whatever. And people will get their vibe too. So I think, yeah, to answer your question, but it's so good. I mean, I experienced many things that I haven't experienced here. So yeah.
If I can just add something, because
Sure.
Ibu also was talking, whenever she went to the United States, she went to an area referred to as the Bible Belt.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, what do you mean by the Bible Belt? I was like, well, there's this part of America that has a history of Christian religions being very strong. And so I'm not Muslim, but I had friends and people that I would meet that would invite me to go to their churches too, because there's all kinds of different Christian churches there. And so being invited to go to a church in that area of the country is not unusual. And it's not because they think you're on the wrong path or they're trying to convert you to their religion. It's just a socially acceptable thing. Oh, we have church this Sunday. Do you want to come with us? And so they're always inviting. And so you don't have to panic. You don't have to think. And especially in that area of the country, it's just part of the culture and experiences.
I think like here, people invite iftar for many people. I mean, sometimes, of course, we invite our neighbors, Christian friends, Hindu friends, and whoever friends, just like having fun. I think it's the same, you know. As long as you're fun, I'm your friend, you know.
Okay, and Mbak Neneng, you said that there's a lot of Middle Eastern food there. I myself don't like Middle Eastern food. Like, usually I go with fish or seafood. But do you happen to know like what is the options to have halal food in the U.S.?
Like I said, because we have kitchen in the hotel, so we prepare ourselves our meals. Usually I will shop for a week, and I can make my own food like bakwan or daging. I don't make any sophisticated like rendang because it will be very difficult to find the ingredients, you know. Biasanya kita bikin yang simple-simple aja, sayur, tumis, kangkung, atau karena banyak bahan-bahan juga di sana gitu, so very easy.
So
like
there's
that.
a supermarket that sell halal meat?
Yeah, halal meat.
Okay, that's good to know. Because when I went to the U.S., usually I just stay at the hotels and go, if I go to the conference, usually they provide me with salad and then fruit and then chips. So that's not meals for Indonesian.
Yeah, you know, hotel here, you know, we are spoiled by the hotel here, variety of food, you know. But in the US, if you have breakfast, they provided only bread, a salad, you know, egg and cheese, and tomato is the, and the fruit is only banana and apple.
And mahal, yeah.
Expensive, of course.
Yeah, so I went to Texas last year. I went to San Antonio and also to Houston. So in Houston, we do have Indonesian mosque. They name it Istiqlal as well.
Oh, nice.
So if you ever come to the US, go to Houston, find the Istiqlal Mosque, and it's not that big, but it's a great place to meet with the Indonesian community and Islamic community. So most of the people coming there is not only Indonesian, also some Pakistan and then Egypt. So it's always eye-opening to meet with other Muslim country people to share our stories about a Muslim in Indonesia, because I think Muslim in Indonesia is kind of different than the other Muslim in the world. we are more fun, right? Okay, Pak Evan. So the fourth step of getting the visa is the interview, right? So people usually get scared. What is the, other than relax, should we have like a playlist to to relax on the interview? I mean, some of the question that I got from my client is that if I cannot speak English well, how do I converse with the interviewing officer?
Excellent question. And let me ask you, have you ever talked with somebody, maybe the first time you met them, you think they're cute, and you really want to make a good impression, and so you're nervous? And have you ever talked to somebody, like maybe your parents, when you're getting in trouble and you're lying because you don't want to get in trouble, and you're nervous? Those are two different kinds of nervous, yeah? And so what we try to do is understand, if you're nervous because it's just a stressful situation, it's your first time you've ever been there, that's different than if you're nervous because you're trying to lie about where you're going or why you're going there. And so I would just tell you to, if you're being honest, the third step and fifth step, then you're probably going to be fine. Nervousness is fine. We're not going to hold that against you. That's normal and a natural reaction. Whenever you try to conceal something, that comes across differently. And so that kind of nervous, not able to answer questions, not looking around trying to find the answer, you know, that kind of nervousness makes us start to hesitate and think maybe you're trying to hide something. So just think of your own experiences.
Okay.
Can I add
Sure.
something? Maybe the first impression when you feel scared is started with the security check. You know, ketika Anda datang ke kedutaan, when you apply for a visa, there will be a security guard asking for the information, document, your name, like that. You know, they're just doing their job. Don't be scared.
Coming from the chief.
Yeah. Jadi, don't be scared. Just relax, you know. As long as you have all the documents, you already registered, you know, you have your name on the list, you'll be fine. They will, you know, they are there to ease you to enter the building, you know. Once you have the name, your name there in the list, then you have to put your electronic devices, you know. You cannot carry them inside. So that's it. Or food, you cannot carry food inside, or drink, you have to drink it, you know, finish it or leave it or throw it.
And on that same point too is preparation helps you feel more relaxed. So if you know you applied on time, you got a complete application in, you got plenty of sleep the night before, you arrived early on the train or the bus or whatever, and you're not in a hurry to try to get through the line and catch up, then that helps you be relaxed throughout the whole process.
We have experienced recently that a female applicant get tantrum, kicking all the guards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You know, our visa window open at 7. You know, they can enter the building around 7 o'clock, and the lady arrived at around 6, and she insists to get in at the time. So the guard asked her to wait outside because they cannot allow them to come in before 7. So she got mad, and you know, she tried to beat our guards.
So she was invited inside.
Yeah, she was
For a
inside.
private interview, and she met with some other folks, and they had a talk and a discussion. Ultimately, she still did have an interview and all that. So
Did she
just
get
don't be
her
upset.
visa?
I don't know if I can say yes or no, but she had a good outcome still, because we understand the stress. This is just a difficult process, and we understand that. So we try to be as understanding as we can and as tolerant as we can and help you negotiate through all of the steps once you get at the embassy. So just be patient, breathe.
So the security guard, you know, they are there to help you. You know, can you imagine if you come to the embassy and you know there's no one to ask, you know, no one to guide you? Maybe you'll be very confused, right? Thank you.
Okay, Mbak Dewi,
Yes.
I'm sure that you have a very fun living in the U.S. for 3 years. How did your America experience make you today?
Okay, so how American experience make me today, make I am today. I think so before I never been to the U.S. and never met with a lot of Americans. So now that I have many American friends, I think I'm getting more. I'm getting better in judging people. Like for instance, of course, people judge. If people say, "Oh, I never judge," oh, that's a lie. That's not honest, right? But then I know I'm getting better. For instance, when you see America from TVs, from a lot of programs, maybe that's not true. And then I met a lot of Americans. I met poor Americans. I met Americans that couldn't go to the dentist because it was expensive. I have some American friends who have a lot of debt in the bank because they need to go to school and they need to pay the tuition by doing the like a debt. And then so I have a lot of American friends with stories that people hardly know. So those stories make me what I'm today, just because then, so before you judge people, you need to talk with them. You need to talk to them. You need to have conversation. And sometimes, it's just your stories in your head, but you have to confirm your stories. And then living in the United States for 3 years make me better person, I guess, just because I was really far from my family and I need to experience different kind of stories in the U.S. Like for instance, like I said, I was a very yes girl type that I always say yes to everything, and that attitude really brought me to the world that I hardly know. You know what? There's a volunteer at my school. He's American Navy. He was an American Navy, and he served in Indonesia for a while. And I think like his grandmother was Indonesian. So he could be a football player in Indonesia because his naturalization. Just because the grandmother came from Padang actually. So he said that I always happy to meet Indonesian because I found me in you. I found some of part of my Indonesian a little bit in you. And then so he invited me to go to a country club, a place that I never went. It's a country club. If you're not an elite with a good car, rich people, you cannot go there. But I was there with him, accompany him, and you know what? He introduced me to a lot of American friends, new friends, ladies and gentlemen, with a lot of different stories. So I thought, oh wow, I never experienced this in my life, meeting very diverse people. And then you know what? The story is the same like me. They're human too. I think that's the thing, Baija. That's really make me understand that maybe you're different. You're American, we're Indonesian. You're like a bule, we're not, something like that. Maybe you're Muslim, you're not, or whatever. But then I think the humanity is the same. I can find myself in you.
Thank you. So we will come to the question and answer. If you have questions, please raise your hand. And for the time being, I'm going to read some of the questions from our online viewer. So first question is from Aisha. What are some recommended destinations within the USA that offer a rich experience for Muslim travelers seeking both spiritual and leisure activities? Mbak Neneng or Dewi, if you can chime in.
It depends, your preference. For me, I like New York because the diversity. And kalau lihat berita di detik.com kemarin ada sholat tarawih hari pertama ada di Times Square. Itu sebenarnya bukan masjid, itu area terbuka gitu ya, banyak ini, tapi itu membawa suasana yang ternyata bisa juga boleh kok menjalankan ibadah di New York yang orang mungkin lihat di TV atau di film kayaknya jauh banget dari hal-hal yang religius, apalagi yang berbau Islam gitu ya, tapi itu menjadi hal yang sangat membuka pikiran kita gitu ya. Jadi kalau mau yang lebih ekstrim lagi, mungkin Dewi di daerah mana yang?
So I think if you want to experience a lot of Muslims ambience in the U.S., I'm not the best person to recommend that, but just based on my experience, DC will be interesting just because you could meet different part of diaspora, not just Indonesians, but other part of the world. And you could go to the biggest Islamic center in DC area where there's a lot of Muslims there, not just Indonesian. And then the good thing is that if you're in DC and if you go on Friday prayer to our embassy, Indonesian embassy in DC, you will meet people from around the world, not just Indonesian. Because they open the embassy is open for non-Indonesian. If you're a Muslim and you want to do like prayer, you can go there. So my husband at the time, he has different experience because he didn't go to school, and he has had a job in restaurants, and he said that and he said, oh, you know what? I'm now an employee of a restaurant, a Chinese restaurant. And I said, how come you're an employee of a Chinese restaurant? You hardly speak English. And then you know what? I think you have nothing with a restaurant experience. And he said, no, I'm just like pretend. So tomorrow he went to the restaurant and he became in the kitchen. And then he met a lot of immigrants from other part of the world. He met people from Venezuela, Argentina, and then Mexico, and then just random immigrants, random nationalities. And he said that some of them were Muslim, so they went together to the embassy of Indonesia on Friday to pray. So I think that's a just different experience that you maybe you can go to any mosque, but then to feel that you're part of something big. So maybe visiting some Islamic center will be also a different experience because it's just totally different from here.
Yeah, maybe the next question from Darius is, how do cultural events and festivals in the United States accommodate or include Muslim perspective and tradition? Maybe Dewi or Pak Evan can answer.
Okay, I'll give you some of my experience in the United States. Never met anyone that I knew was Muslim growing up, all the way from high school, going to work. I joined the U.S. Air Force. I went to England for several years. I never can recall meeting anyone that I know that was identified as Muslim. So there's a chance that you'll go to the United States and you'll run into people that know nothing about your religious beliefs. And if you go to Texas or Arizona and you're darker complected, they'll probably start talking to you in Spanish because they'll mistake and think that you are from South America or from Mexico. So don't be surprised if that happens to you. It's just not something that's really at the forefront of our experiences. And so if you travel outside of the major cities like New York or Houston or LA, San Francisco, you'll have an opportunity maybe to experience a different side of the American life and share some of what you understand and believe and your experiences with the people you meet, because they will come up to you, like her example, and wonder and touch the scar and say, what is that? Why are you wearing that? And usually it's an inquisitive way. It's not an intolerant way or a judgmental thing. And I think it's probably...
They want to know.
We're just curious.
Mm-hmm.
The first, part of our constitutional belief system is the right to religion and the freedom of religion. And so we are always open to different religions and asking people about them and discuss them openly in most places. So don't feel that you have to find a good-sized Muslim population to go and just go to that place. You can go outside of those places and experience other things in the United States that might give you a unique experience that you wouldn't be able to have otherwise.
Okay. So question from the audience. Oh, Ibu.
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity. Hello, I'm Dini. I'm about to go to America next September. Like Miss Dewi, I like to continue my master's in New York specifically. And maybe I have 3 questions. The first one regarding the visa. Some of my friends get the visa after 2 months after the interview, and some of them just got them after like 10 months. I'm just curious, what is the difference between those people who can like directly get the visa after the interview, and then versus they who have to wait that long to get the visa? And the second one, maybe I would like to ask about the living ecosystem in New York specifically, because today I haven't decided about whether I will stay on the campus or outside the campus. Maybe I want to ask specifically from Ms. Dewi, what is the variables or factors that maybe can affect our decisions in choosing the environment to live? And the third question is regarding the student activities. I saw like Ms. Dewi very active in every activities, and maybe can you give me some tips regarding the student activities? What kind of activities in or outside the campus that I need to choose when I join maybe international student communities in New York? Thank you.
Okay, I can do it really quick because there's just things that happen. It can vary widely on to how quickly you get your visa. So the thing to remember with a student visa, and I'm not sure when your friends got theirs, because it used to be you could not get your student visa until you were within a close time of going to your class. So now they changed that, so you can get your student visa up to a year before your classes start, but you still can't travel on it until you're within 30 days of your classes starting. So if you know you're going to go to school September, you can get your visa now, and it might take a couple of weeks or a little bit longer to actually get it, but you're still going to have plenty of time before your classes start, because you can't travel on a student visa until your classes are almost ready to begin. So sometimes There's various checks that they have to go through the systems, right? Security will know about this. But if you have a very common name, which unfortunately for Indonesians and the way that the names are done, and you have one name and it's a common name, then whenever they do those checks, you're going to come up with a whole list of people that they have to make sure aren't you, that might have had problems before. And so they have to go through all these systems and check and see. So it could take a little bit longer for those people to finally get cleared and to make sure that everything comes out okay. But generally speaking, our turnaround is one of the short, it is, I know for tourist visas, it's the shortest in Southeast Asia. The wait times between your interview and printing your visa, we tell people at the window, your visa will be ready in 2 to 3 days. And the vast majority of all of your visas will be ready within 2 or 3 days. And then they'll mail it to you. So it's just a rare occasion where it's going to take longer than that. And the way the student visas used to work, sometimes they would delay it until you were closer to your start date. But now you shouldn't have that kind of a delay.
Okay, congratulations for get the opportunity to study in the U.S. You love it. I mean, living in campus or outside campus, it was also my dilemma. But then I always choose close to the campus just because I was poor. So you know, because then if you live in campus, meaning that you can go to class on time, maybe not the case on time, but yeah, but you can go easily, and then you can, you know, if you late, coming home late, it's safe, still environment. Safe meaning that it's safe in the United States, but then sometimes you feel like, oh, it's too far, I don't want to go home, but you cannot stay in campus until like the next morning. Maybe you don't, you know, you need to shower and everything. So, I mean, for me, I love living at campus, but I mean at campus environment better, just because I can meet a lot of friends and different kind of friends from all over the world. And for like activities, I think Arkansas was, I mean, Little Rock was different just because my campus is so far from the main campus. So the Clinton School is quite far. So then my activities at that time was always surrounded at campus. But if I get a chance to go for volunteer, for instance, there's a lot of volunteer opportunities that I can meet Americans, not just international students. That's the opportunity that I get, that I take. Just because, I mean, meeting international people is important, but then living in United States like the Americans, that's important too. Just because sometimes, you know, you don't know if, for instance, my host mother, in San Antonio, she worked at the car manufacturer, and she's not that young anymore, like you see on the picture. But then, you know, she asked me like, "Hey, have you tried Mexican food? I can bring you to a very good restaurant." And I said, "Of course, yeah." I always say yes, right? And then she took me to a restaurant, and then we can, you know, I ate at the restaurant that she usually ate. And that for me is very important to see the common humanity that I and she shared, that we love the food from our own country, even though she's American, but the ancestors were from Mexico. So she still loves Mexican food. And I need to know where the good Mexican food in that city. So, you know, I always try to make friends. I mean, not make friends necessarily, but I try to have activities, variety of the activities, so I got everything. I was, what's called it? I was greedy in terms of getting a lot of experience. I live usually, and then you know what? When you graduate after your school for 2 years, then you can get an opportunity for OPT, optional job training or academic training. Depends on your visa, and I get it. So that's why I spent the last year of the United States in Voice of America in DC. So I work as a radio announcer. So I was a radio announcer back home in Aceh at the time, and then I went to the US and I became a radio announcer. Just because I don't want to waste, you know, I don't want to waste any experience living abroad. But that also depends on the situation. I mean, some people need to go back soon to their country because of family. So if you have that, maybe you won't get the luxuries, but you can bring the family to the U.S. if you have good resources of funding, because I was on Fulbright. The scholarship did not pay for the family. That's also some concerns that people have usually. But I told my husband, you're here already, and we have no kid at that time, so you need to work. You need to work at the restaurant. You need to earn money. Why? Because we would like to travel a bit. We would like to see other part of the U.S. And without the sufficient money, we couldn't, of course, to travel. So maybe I hope that answered the question.
Thank you. So another one from the Sahid University students. Really, not one of you wants to go to the U.S.? Let me ask you a question. If you want to go to U.S., where? Kalau mau ke Amerika, maunya kemana? New York? Las Vegas? Oke. Mana lagi?
Ke Hollywood mungkin.
Los Angeles? Kok malu-malu sih? Kalian dari tourism ini loh, kan nggak hanya kalian bawa turis ke sini, you have to experience outside, you have to go outside to learn more about tourism in other country, and then you bring back the knowledge to develop the tourism here. Atau dari, ada di sini? Oh baik, silakan Pak.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
I only give the testimony, not question. Boleh?
Boleh Pak.
My name Fai. My brother graduate for master graduate for Nevada since WUTC. Aman-aman aja gitu selama di sana. Okay. Jadi many American just study Islamic language, Islamic. And my son has just arrived, visiting Washington last month. Related to the question Muslim name, my son have a Muslim name, Muhammad Jundi. Muhammad is the name of the Prophet. Jundi is the soldier of God. But after melalui tes ya, interview, aman-aman aja.
Ya?
So,
okay.
Jadi he just arrived from the Washington duty in United Nations. Thank you.
Thank you for the testimony, Pak. Another question probably from the audience. Anyone? Jangan malu-malu. Tidak perlu pakai bahasa Inggris, bisa bertanya dengan bahasa Indonesia. Oh ada? Oke.
Hello, introduce everyone. My name is Maria Jessica. I'm from the fourth in tourism. And I want to ask about mungkin maybe Miss Dewi or Miss Neneng, pernah nggak sih kalian itu waktu di sana nggak sengaja makan yang non halal gitu? Terus solusinya gimana kalau jadi kayak tindakan selanjutnya gara-gara makan non halal itu? Thank you.
Sholat taubat nggak sih? Sholat taubat nggak sih?
Tergantung ya kalau nggak sengaja. Tapi I never experienced that. Tapi kalau misalnya berdasarkan ajaran agama, kalau misalnya memang terlanjur, don't continue, stop, you have to stop. Jangan dilanjutkan. Tapi tadi yang sudah saya katakan pertama, pentingnya kita untuk cari tahu dulu, cari info gitu ya. Makanya saya tidak pernah mengalami hal itu karena tahu oh ini non halal, atau kita bertanya dulu sebelum ini ada mengandung non halal atau tidak gitu. Tapi itu tadi kalau memang tidak sengaja ya stop, tidak dilanjutkan, dan yaitu mohon ampun kepada Allah.
Sebenarnya cari makanan halal di Amerika tuh nggak terlalu susah ya, karena kalau di kota-kota besar terutama kayak di New York itu halal cart food itu banyak banget. Jadi kayak waktu saya pergi ke sana untuk conference, kan orang makannya macam-macam ya. Tapi saya pergi keluar untuk makan di pinggir jalan karena itu udah pasti halal gitu. Dan
jangan takut ya,
jangan takut, jangan takut. Terus di sana juga sekarang banyak aplikasi di handphone yang bisa mengarahkan terdekat tuh restoran halal tuh di mana gitu. Terus habis itu kalau misalnya jalan-jalan ke satu kota, coba aja tanya kayak di sana ada kayak Little Arabnya nggak atau Little Pakistan nggak? Biasanya di situ selalu ada makanan halal dan kalian bisa mencoba makanan yang berbeda.
Dan biasanya itu kan ada tulisan halal gitu ya, jadi kita bisa baca dan mohon maaf mungkin kalau di Indonesia kadang-kadang ada yang tidak jujur gitu ya, ini halal nggak? Halal nggak? Halal gitu. Tapi kalau di sana sangat tegas gitu ya, halal tidak gitu. Atau bahkan kadang pernah satu kali di New York gitu, dia jual di food truck gitu jual makanan halal, tapi sebelum beli dia nanya dulu sapinya ini ada yang halal tapi ada yang dipotong secara syariah gitu ya, secara Islam, ada sapi yang tidak dipotong secara syariah, kamu pilih yang mana? Oh saya yang halal yang syariah gitu, seperti itu.
And you're also lucky too because today, in the last, I don't know, decade probably, Mediterranean food is what Americans call it, and it's become much more popular than it used to be. So you have a lot more options in that vein that are going to be halal foods in different places that they never existed before. And it may not say that, so you might need to say, oh, is there I don't know, whatever other country that might have those kind of foods? Is there a restaurant like that there? And then you can find out, oh yeah, they have.
Okay.
But maybe I can add from the
Sure.
student perspective. I was a student, so I was invited to a lot of parties, right? A lot of alcohols, a lot of meals that I don't know whether it's halal or not. But then, I sometimes brought my own meals. Like for instance, I asked like what kind of menu, and if there's no my vegetarian friends will come to the party, then I will definitely bring my own meal because sometimes I couldn't eat. Oh, their support. This is definitely I couldn't eat, and I think like once I starved in the party. Can you imagine starving in the party? That's like a no, right? Of course not. We go to a party to have fun. So I learned, and then I asked, and usually like I ask some of my friends or vegetarian or Muslim, will you come? If they say yes, then definitely there's food that I can eat. And then as well, I think there's one story. So the invitation was barbecue. And I told my husband, you know what? If there's barbecue, meaning a lot of meat that we cannot eat. So I brought my own chicken, I brought my own beef, and you know what? They were very tolerant. My friend said, "Oh, your meat cannot touch the pork, meaning that it's become non-halal. So you first grill your meat, and then we will then grill our meat." I said, "Oh, you're so kind. Okay, we did that." So I think the most important is to ask the question, and then to let your friends know your preference. And since then, my friends were so kind that usually they will tell me that, hey, Dewi, we have some vegetarian options for you. And in fact, there's one day, I returned from DC back to Little Rock, and my friend, the bald guy, he cooked me like a set of Indonesian halal dish just because I brought him Indonesian book menu from home. He said that, hey, Dewi, when you go back home, please buy like a book so I can learning to cook for you. And I said, oh, you're so kind. And we're not even like boyfriend, girlfriend for sure. I'm married. But then he cooked for me, very delicious. And he invited some friends. He said, I'm learning to cook Indonesian because of what? He tried once the soto. So I made soto ayam, biasa aja itu soto ayam. And both of them, they said, we would like to go to Asian restaurant with you. I said, what for? Because we need to know the ingredients. Jadi belinya tuh, of course they know ginger. Tapi galangal. Galangal tuh apa sih? Laos ya? Laos tuh apa sih? Ngomongnya bahasa Indonesia, lengkuas. They don't know like, oh, that's something we need to cook. I mean, we need to have for like good soda, of course. So I teach them the soto, how to cook soto, and then they asked me to buy the book. So I brought the book to him, and he cooked. So sometimes, the conversation is the one that we need to create, and then so we should start the conversation. And don't worry if you don't speak English as fluent as somebody that you really like. Oh, their English is so good, because you know what? Humanity, when you're hungry, you can just like people will understand definitely. You don't have to be able to speak English very fluent in the U.S. Just just become like yang itu aja tadi, asik. Yang penting asik.
Bahasa tubuh.
Bahasa tubuh. That's true though. That's true, but
Okay, one more question from the online viewers. How do accommodations in the U.S. cater to the needs of Muslim travelers, such as prayer facilities and halal food options? Maybe I can answer that a little bit. For now, I think there's a lot of websites that when we search for a hotel, we can just say hotel near Islamic Center or hotel near halal restaurants. So that way, even though the hotel probably not claiming them as Muslim friendly, but their location, we can find the information on the website. So we can have one or two more questions. Oh, Bapak.
Thank you for the opportunities. My name is Aji from Avi Arabs. I used to represent Hawaii tourism in back 2018. And then they pull out from Southeast Asia. I think Southeast Asia, yeah, they pull out the promotions. My questions to Evan: what is the strategic U.S. Seeing Indonesia as the source market for Indonesian tourists? And then the second, what is the numbers of visa issued for tourist visa you issue from U.S. Embassy for Indonesian?
Okay, those are great questions. I think, as I mentioned in the beginning, we had 100,000 tourist visas that were processed, and I can't give you the exact number of how many were issued. That might be issuances, but I think those are just adjudications. So the number of issuance usually runs about 70 to 80% on a given day. So you have a really good chance. The American system and American adjudicators, the embassy here, thinks Indonesians are excellent travelers, and so we are very generous in granting visas. Some countries are much more strict. For example, if you were just graduating from high school, some places around the world, like Mexico, for example, I was TDY there earlier this year, they would refuse you a visa because there's too much risk that you're just going to go live with family or you're going to go get a job or something for the summer. And so just wouldn't even think about it, just really quick. But since Indonesians tend to be such good travelers, we can look at the whole application and say, okay, you're a young traveler, you may not have a lot of world experience, but we understand why you're going, where you're going, you understand where you're going and why you're going, and you're able to tell us that. And so we can still approve those kind of cases.
Okay, I think we're running out of time, but maybe we can answer after this, Pak. And yes, so this is time to say goodbye. So sad. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. And for fellow travelers, let's show the world what we're made of. Kindness, resilience, and whole lot of wanderlust. Thank you for joining today, and until next time, happy travels.
Thank you very much to our wonderful moderator and speakers for today's insightful discussion. And ladies and gentlemen, earlier before the event, we had one question of the day for our online audience. And the question was, is it true or false that your passport must have a minimum of 12 months validity left in order to apply for a US visa? And the answer is false. Your passport must have at least 6 months of validity left in order to apply for a US visa. And congratulations to @Nindar_TN from Instagram for getting the correct answer. And ladies and gentlemen, for more information about America and our awesome events, please follow our social media pages at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter @AT America. And with that, My name is Aldi Rashid, and the entire At America team, thank you very much, and see you at our next event. Bye-bye. Untuk teman-teman, kita akan ada foto bersama para speakers dan moderator ya. Jadi nanti akan ada dua sisi, di sini sama di sini.